Hello there, welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. As always, I am Eric Hoernke, and today I am going to be discussing the 1981 film An American Werewolf in London, directed by John Landis. Now, John Landis is one of our beloved directors, best known for the comedies he made running through the 70s and 80s, such as National Lampoon's Animal House, Trading Places, Spies Like Us, among others. So in 1981, Landis made this horror comedy hybrid of sorts. Since then, it has gained somewhat of a cult status. This is probably the first time I sat down and really gave it a good watch through since I was young. I'm pretty sure maybe I saw it in bits and pieces. I think this landed on my radar because it was on a best of horror list that I'm going through. I have to admit that this movie is pretty much somewhat lost on me. If it's, like I said, it was a horror comedy hybrid, but if it's a horror film, it's not really that scary. If it's a comedy film, it doesn't really have that many funny moments, so it kind of just gets muddled and lost somewhere in the middle in my estimation. So the premise is pretty simple if you don't already know it. Probably going to do spoilers here. This movie was from 1981. If you don't know it, you should probably have watched it by now. What are you doing? So, and I'm not really going to point out any of the actors, because none of the actors are anybody that we know. They're all kind of no-names, and maybe their names were in England, but they're definitely not names to us here. But in any case, so we have the characters Jack and David, who are two Americans hitchhiking through the English countryside, and they stop at a pub on a particularly harsh evening, and it's called The Slaughtered Lamb. And it's about the one thing I really love about this movie. I love the name, The Slaughtered Lamb of a Pub, and I love the imagery. Like if you pull up a Slaughtered Lamb logo. In fact, I'll put one right here for you to see. That was pretty good. And actually, I've seen a Slaughtered Lamb T-shirt. I'm wearing my Horny Goat Brewing T-shirt. That was about the closest thing I had to a slaughtered lamb was a horny goat. But whatever. So they go in there, and the villagers just basically like are rude, shoo them out because they know what's coming. They're not infested, they're haunted, not really haunted. They're beset upon by this ravenous beast of the underworld, and they tell these kids at least, stay on the path, don't go on the moors. So they go out, they of course get attacked by a wolf, and Jack ends up getting maimed and killed, and David just gets wounded prior to the animal being shot and killed. And David then wakes up in a hospital in London. And so he starts getting visited by the very maimed, very dead Jack, who basically tells him what he has to do. It's like the character is giving the exposition to the other characters and thereby giving it to us. It's like, you have been bitten / maimed by a werewolf. Now you will become a werewolf in the next full moon, and you must just, sort of kill yourself in order to prevent yourself from hurting all these people. And then this is a part of the werewolf culture I've never seen, but anybody who's been damaged by the werewolf is supposed to not be, going to walk the earth as a ghost or something until that gets put to bed. Sure, whatever. David is in the hospital. He shacks up with a nurse named Alex. The full moon rolls around. He turns into a wolf, kills a bunch of people. Police shoot him. Credits roll. Boom. And I mean, like, the end of the movie is really abrupt. Let's just say. It all seems to happen very fast, and I'm not really exaggerating there. Despite David actually changing into this wolf, and I don't think they were ever going for a question of would he or wouldn't he. You could probably do a werewolf story as in, the person is mad thinking they're going to turn into a wolf and, kind of pull the audience along on the side of madness, or is this actually going to occur? But I don't think there was ever any doubt of what was going to happen, considering the title and, you know, everything we know about this movie. But despite the fact that David does turn into this wolf, I never really felt a lot of menace. Despite the fact he turns into a wolf, he's running around, he's supposed to be this scary beast, he kills some people. I don't know, it didn't, like I said, maybe it's the balance they were trying to find between comedy and horror, but like I said, it never felt very menacing, you know. So if the film does have a triumph, and it does, it's the special effects. The special effects here, which are done by Rick Baker, like, changed movies. So this really has a feather in its cap for that. And it almost seems like the film was almost an excuse just to do all these special effects. Most specifically, the transformation of David into the wolf, and which was, you know, it is amazing. It's still amazing today to see it. And then something that people don't think about as much, but as Jack visits David on a few occasions, and he sort of decays each time, so he gets a little bit more rotten and rancid as time goes by. And that, I remember as a kid, I must have watched this as a kid, and like I wasn't really able to assess it, but I remember the images of Jack decaying, like those really kind of stuck with me a little bit, shall we say. So then also there's a sweet light romance between David and the nurse, you know, but we know it's not really going to go anywhere. The music, they stuff just about every song you can probably think of with Moon in the title into the soundtrack. So as a result, we get 3 different versions of Blue Moon running throughout, and then we actually get a sex scene to Van Morrison's Moon Dance, which is interesting. Actually, I got to give Landis credit, because that's actually probably one of the better scenes of the movie. I was actually like impressed at how well he shot this love scene. Not too explicit, not too tame. It just walked a very deft line. It's like something very odd to point out, but I don't know. I noticed it when I was watching it, and I'm like, this is a really well shot scene. All right, so that being said, so then the climax comes, and then you think there's going to be maybe some sort of denouement, you know, like a ends something, and it's like, man, when those credits boom down, it's just like, it's so abrupt and takes you off guard. Like, I laughed, and it wasn't laughing in a good way. It was laughing like, I can't believe it. They just ended the movie like that. And then they also throw like a song there right as the credits roll too. I forget what the song was. I should have looked it up. I forget what the song was, but that's part of the jarring nature of the credits rolling right then too. And I'm just like, okay, that's whatever. So, despite this film being creative and revolutionary at the time, almost explicitly for the special effects and what Rick Baker would go on to do in the special effects realm, this movie just didn't feel very, like, it all felt very loose. Like, it didn't have a firm center. It felt like sort of flimsy as far as a constructed story to me. It just didn't have a lot of meat on its bones, if you want to put it that way. So ultimately, it just winds up being okay. I didn't really think it was bad, but I didn't think it was good either. So if there isn't, so pretty much as the definition of average, I'm going to give An American Werewolf in London, directed by John Landis, a C. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. I enjoyed making it. As always, I am Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with turnkey. Like, subscribe, leave some comments if you want. And as always, this has been a production of Zero Value.